Hello, I'm Phil Svitek, 360 Creative Coach, and in this episode, I want to use Kate Bush's Running Up the Hill as a way to illustrate what Steven Pressfield often talks about, especially in The War of Art, which is that as creators, we are entitled to our labor, but not necessarily the fruits of our labor. And that is a notion that can rub a lot of people the wrong way, especially because, we see the glamorization in today's day and age through social media and just media in general, how creating something, is supposed to yield this reward of fame and fortune, and yet it doesn't, right? Or it can be hit or miss, right? It's also why, oftentimes in that way, summer blockbusters, right? These movies that are supposed to perform really well, those can be hit or miss, right? The fact no one predicted Top Gun doing as well as it is, just flat out, nobody did, right? And yet it's performing better than Marvel movies and Disney movies and so forth, right? So that's incredible. And so I want to use, as I said, Kate Bush's Running Up the Hill as a way into this notion. Now, before I fully dive into this, though, I would like to take the opportunity to invite you to subscribe if you haven't already, that we get all the various lessons and episodes that I put out right when I put them out. Thank you if you just did, and thank you if you already were. It truly does mean a lot to me, as I hope it does to you. So let's get into this, right? If you're unfamiliar, Kate Bush is this artist. Running Up the Hill came out in the 80s. And, it's a song that, quite honest, I didn't know about. And in fact, that's the point, because a lot of other people didn't know about it either until season 4 of Stranger Things comes out, and, it becomes a song, it's a song within the series that becomes a plot point, essentially, right? So it's not just like a background song, it's a plot point. But regardless, one way or the other, all of a sudden people just heard that song within the TV show, and now it's incredible. Now I hear it on Kiss FM and just on repeat, and it's like being downloaded ad nauseum and so forth, right? And I'm not saying a song from the 80s can't be played on the radio, but certainly in like a top 40s type of station, we're not talking about an oldies station, we're talking about a top 40 station is playing that song on repeat, to the point that there's a lot of people that are saying like, okay, enough with this song, enough, like it's being overplayed. And that is an interesting facet because, this is a song from the 80s, so basically let's just kind of make it simple math. 40 years for this song to, it's not to say that it didn't hit back then, but not to this level. And so in many ways, we can never really predict how art will be perceived, how it will connect, how it will resonate to how many amounts of people. And in that way, as odd as it may be, it's actually quite liberating because it just means focus on what you're creating and let that be the guiding light of all of this. If you try to go after top 100 song, one of the top grossing movies, whatever it is, when you strive for the results instead of just focusing on the craft and making the best form of art that you can, whether it be a song, whether it be a painting, a photograph, a movie, all that stuff, you're doing it a disservice. And the paradoxical thing is you're not going to achieve that, right? When you aim for results, you don't get them because you need to focus on the process, and then the results may come, and that's the rub of all of this. It's not a guarantee. And I coach so many people who just they try to think of what is the formula, oh, this is hot right now, this is popular, I'm going to go and create this. And it's like, no. It doesn't work like that, because people have tried that. And it does feel derivative. It does feel, that certainly in movies, cash grab is used as a pejorative and so forth. Like, audiences are smarter than I think a lot of artists are willing to give them credit for, and they suss it out. They know. But when you do it from a genuine place, again, it may not always be the thing. It may not hit, but at least it has a chance. And the fact of the matter is, once you put it out, it can go any which way. And it can take 40 years to all of a sudden become the phenomenon that Kate Bush's Running Up the Hill is right now. We just don't know. And it's both scary, but also the fun part, really. Art becomes this tangible, alive thing. And that's a wonderful, wonderful thing. It's why movies, sometimes they're like box office bombs, but then they become cult classics. And it's interesting, a lot of the movies that are just adored universally and we consider timeless, most of them are failures at the box office, right? And so that's why I really love just this example of Kate Bush's song, because it just illustrates all of this. Just make great art, put it out into the world, and see where it goes from there. When you do that, you give it a shot, you give it a life, and let it live. Let it live, and then be surprised where it goes in all these unexpected places. And as someone, I can also speak to from my experience, it's not like I'm this world-renowned filmmaker, even in the indie space, or the auteur space, whatever you want to call it. And yet, the people who resonate with my work, whether it be my books or my movies and so forth, they really get something out of it. And that's something special. And I have seen kind of a snowball effect just because of that. The more I create, the more people find my earlier work and, just kind of deep dive and explore. And that's why I've always been about the long term of it all versus just the short term grab. Listen, the short term would be great too, but ultimately I don't control any of it. All I can control is the process and putting out the stuff that I want to create. So that might not sound as inspirational as exciting, and it also doesn't, in saying all this, it doesn't mean that the point is that, just wait and you will become a success like Kate Bush with her song. But certainly I would love that for you. But really, the core of the message, as hokey and cheesy and cliched as it is just do it for the love and see where that takes you. Because then no matter what the outcome, it's okay. Because you're doing what you love. And that's my message to you. Thank you as always for taking time to tune in. I truly, truly appreciate you. If you think you would benefit from more direct interaction, well, then there is, of course, my coaching, which is available to you if that is too steep of a price at the moment, or you want to test the waters in other ways first. Well, then check out my Patreon page at patreon.com/PhilSvitek. There's various kinds of tiers, various rewards for where we get to interact, and bonus stuff, and just, I've tried to really make it worth your money, essentially, in that way. Likewise, I've kind of hinted at my own work, whether movies, books, merchandise, and so forth. All that stuff is available to you. What I'm talking about, it's all linked to in the description box for ease of access. And, I would love and appreciate if you check that out, because supporting that stuff helps support this, because by doing that stuff, I get to learn and share that knowledge here freely with you to help make your creative journey at least a little bit easier. Anyway, thank you so much, and I hope to see you next time.